Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtapraye शूद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया येन निश्चिकीम् ॐ अज्ञानतं येन तस्य कन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले तिकम् नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna, reading from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. We are reading from Canto 4, Chapter 4, Satī quits her body. So we are at text 14. Yada Yadvayaksharam nama girireti nranam satkrit prasangat agamashu hanti tat pavitra kirtim tatamangal shasanam bhavanaho dreshtistvām svajet. Translation.
Satī continued, "My dear father, you are committing the greatest offense by envying Lord Shiva, whose very name, consisting of two syllables, Shi and Va, purifies one of all sinful activities. His order is never neglected. Lord Shiva is always pure, and no one but you envies him." Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah, please.
Purport. Since Lord Shiva is the greatest soul among the living entities within this material world, his name Shiva is very auspicious for persons who identify the body with the soul. If such persons take shelter of Lord Shiva, gradually they will understand that they are not the material body but are spirit soul. Shiva means Mangala or auspicious. Within the body, the soul is auspicious. Aham Brahma Asmi, I am Brahman. This realization is auspicious. As long as one does not realize his identity as the soul, whatever he does is inauspicious. Shiva means auspicious, and devotees of Lord Shiva gradually come to the platform of spiritual identification. But that is not all. Auspicious life begins from the point of spiritual identification. But there are still more duties. One has to understand one's relationship with the Supreme Soul. If one is actually a devotee of Lord Shiva, he comes to the platform of spiritual realization. But if he is not intelligent enough, then he stops at that point, only realizing that he is spirit soul, Aham Brahma Asmi. If he is intelligent enough, however, he should continue to act in the way of Lord Shiva, for Lord Shiva is always absorbed in the thought of Vasudeva. As previously explained, Sattvam Vishuddham Vasudeva Shabditam. Lord Shiva is always in meditation on the lotus feet of Vasudeva Shri Krishna. Thus, the auspicious position of Lord Shiva is realized if one takes to the worship of Vishnu, because Lord Shiva says in the Shiva Purana that the topmost worship is worship of Lord Vishnu. Lord Shiva is worshipped because he is the greatest devotee of Lord Vishnu. One should not, however, make the mistake of considering Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu to be on the same level. That is also an atheistic idea. It is also enjoined in the Vaiṣṇava Purana that Vishnu or Narayana is the exalted Supreme Personality of Godhead, and no one should be compared to him as equal, even Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma, not to speak of other demigods. Hare Krishna.
Krishna. So Sati continues her narration. Dear father, the personality is Shiva, Lord Shiva. The sacrifice that is being conducted, there is no oblations offered to Lord Shiva. So it is Ashiva. Ashiva means, so Shiva, Prabhupada writes in the purport, Shiva literally means full of auspiciousness. That is Lord Shiva. And everything related to Lord Shiva is auspicious. And this platform of all auspiciousness is called as Vasudeva. And from there, there is arisal of Vasudeva. So Lord Shiva is Vasudeva because he is Shuddha Sattvam, Shuddham Vishwam, Vasudeva Sattvitam. That is the constant position of Lord Shiva. Further, Srila Prabhupada explains that how even within the body and the soul, the realization of the soul is also very auspicious. So that is another meaning of Lord Shiva, is that where there is a realizing soul, that is also being very auspicious. Now, in this particular sacrifice placed for Lord Shiva, neither Lord Shiva's consort, that is she is being recognized, given importance to, and therefore Sati is predicted that this sacrifice is doomed to worship. The Lord Prabhupada writes is full of auspiciousness, but not make the mistake of comparing Lord Shiva on the equal level of Lord Vishnu. On one, there is no difference between Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu that we have seen. Kshiram yatha dadi vikara visheshayo. At the same time, there is a difference because Lord Vishnu is asama urdhva. Similarly, Lord Shiva is also asama urdhva. Right. So one cannot equate Lord Shiva with Lord Vishnu, to the holy name. And this is how Satility, that is Lord Shiva, which is full of all auspiciousness. Yeah, the next verse. Text 15. Prabhuji, you have to scroll through because I am also reading through. Yat padpadmamahataam manolibhe nishevitam brahma तस्मै
Translation: You are envious of Lord Shiva, who is the friend of all living entities within the three worlds. For the common man, he fulfills all desires, and because of their engagement in thinking of his lotus feet, he also blesses higher personalities who are seeking after Brahmananda, transcendental bliss. Purport: Ordinarily, there are two classes of men. One class who are grossly materialistic, want material prosperity, and their desires are fulfilled if they worship Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva, being very quickly satisfied, satisfies the material desires of the common man very quickly. Therefore, it is seen that ordinary men are very much apt to worship him. Next, those who are disgusted or frustrated with the materialistic way of life worship Lord Shiva to attain salvation, which entails freedom from material identification. One who understands that he is not the material body, but his spirit soul is liberated from ignorance. Lord Shiva also offers that facility. People generally practice religion for economic development to get some money, for by getting money, they can satisfy their senses. But when they are frustrated, they want spiritual Brahmananda or merging into the Supreme. These four principles of material life, religion, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation exist. And Lord Shiva is the friend of both the ordinary man and the man who is elevated in spiritual knowledge. Thus, it was not good for Daksha to create enmity towards him. Even Vaishnavas, who are above both the ordinary and the elevated men in this world, also worship Lord Shiva as the greatest Vaishnava. Thus, he is the friend of everyone, the common men, the elevated men, and the devotees of the Lord. So, no one should disrespect or create enmity towards Lord Shiva. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So now Sati says, my dear father, Lord, there is unnecessary enmity that is being picked up by you. And she is ascertaining the
Prabhuji,
position
I
of Lord
think your
Shiva,
voice is breaking in
that
between.
from the people. Yeah, my voice is breaking. So from real life to the highest transcendentalist, everybody that it was unnecessary on your part to pick up any kind of enmity with Lord Shiva. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains Shiva means auspicious, and Shiva is also very, very easily pleased Ashutosha. Why such people are Ashutosha? Because there is some inclination in the living entity to please, and that is a very fleeting inclination to please some great personality. And by the time they have that inclination, Lord Shiva will quickly get pleased and award some spiritual credits. And that's why he's associating with such horrible, the creatures like ghosts, pishachas, and yakshas, and all this. Why? Because only by the association of Lord Shiva, such people will have some chance. So on one hand, Lord Shiva is very easily pleased by such people. On the other hand, Lord Shiva is the Vaishnavanam Yathashambho, greatest of the devotee. And therefore, the great personalities, they are also friends with Lord Shiva. There is a classical example in Vrindavan. Sanatana Goswami was a very great friend of Lord Shiva. And he was residing at the Mahadeva Mandir. And Lord Shiva was very pleased with Sanatana Goswami writing the commentary and he reading the commentary to the deity of Lord Shiva. But one fine day, what happened is there were too many mosquitoes. And, then Sanatana Goswami was forced to. And this news reached to Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva understood this, that Sanatana Goswami is going to abandon this place because of too much of a mosquito. And the very beautiful story continues. Lord Shiva literally ordered the in charge of the mosquito, saying that this place should be free from mosquitoes right away from today. And this is how he maintained, he's continued his association with Sanatana Goswami. So Lord Shiva is a personality which is like these are people. There also Lord Shiva is the greatest personality to associate with, and also with the great devotees of the Lord, who are always seeking association of Lord Shiva. Later in this canto, we are going to associate with Lord Shiva, especially Prachetas, they are going to receive their mantras, Vishnu mantras, how to please Lord Vishnu from none other than Lord Shiva. So this is a very unique position of Lord Shiva, and this is highlighted of enmity with such a great personality as Lord Shiva. Yeah, please continue. Next.
Prabhuji, your voice is very bad today. It's not clear.
Yeah, continue. I am not in a position to have any better connectivity. You can continue. Tomorrow I will pick up. Okay?
Yes, next verse. Kim va shivakyam shivam na vidustandane brahmadayastam avakirya jatashmashane tanmalya bhasma nikapali avasat पिशाचैर ये मूर्ध भीर दधाति तच्चरणा वश्रिस्तम. His translation.
Do you think that greater, more respectable personalities than you, such as Lord Brahma, do, do not know this inauspicious person who goes under the name of Lord Shiva? He associates with the demons in the crematorium. His locks of hair are scattered all over his body, and he is garlanded with human skulls and smeared with ashes from the crematorium. But in spite of all these inauspicious qualities, great personalities like Brahma honor him by accepting the flowers offered to his lotus feet and placing them with great respect on their heads. Purport. It is useless to condemn a great personality like Lord Shiva, and this is being stated by his wife Sati to establish the supremacy of her husband. First, she said,
Krishna
"You call
Prema.
Lord." First, she said, "You call Lord Shiva inauspicious because he associates with demons in crematoriums, covers his body with the ashes of the dead, and garland himself with the skulls of human beings. You have shown so many defects, but you do not know that his position is always transcendental. Although he appears inauspicious, why do personalities like Brahma respect the dust of his lotus feet and place on their heads with great respect those very garlands which are condemned by you?" Since Sati was a chaste woman and the wife of Lord Shiva, it was her duty to establish the elevated position of Lord Shiva, not only by sentiment but by facts. Lord Shiva is not an ordinary living entity. This is the conclusion of Vedic scripture. He is neither on the level of the Supreme Personality of Godhead nor on the level of ordinary living entities. Brahma is an Brahma is in almost all cases an ordinary living entity. Sometimes, when there is no ordinary living entity available, the post of Brahma is occupied by an expansion of Lord Vishnu. But generally, this post is occupied by a greatly pious living entity within this universe. Thus, Lord Shiva's position is constitutionally higher than that of Lord Brahma. Although Lord Shiva appeared as a son of Brahma, here it is mentioned that even personalities like Brahma accept the so-called inauspicious flowers and the dust of the lotus feet of Lord Shiva. Great sages like Marichi, Atri, Bhrigu, and others among the nine great sages who are descendants of Brahma also respect Lord Shiva in such a way because they all know that Lord Shiva is not an ordinary living entity. In many Puranas, it is sometimes asserted that a demigod is elevated to such a high position that he is almost on an equal level with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But the conclusion is that Lord Vishnu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is confirmed in every scripture. Lord Shiva is described in the Brahma Samhita to be like curd or yogurt. Curd is not different from milk, since milk is transformed into curd. In one sense, curd is also milk. Similarly, Lord Shiva is in one sense the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but in another sense, he is not. Just as curd is milk, although we have to distinguish between the two. These descriptions are in the Vedic literature. Whenever we find that a demigod occupies a position apparently more elevated than that of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, it is just to draw the devotee's attention to that particular demigod. It is also stated in Bhagavad Gita 9.25 that if one wants to worship a particular demigod, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is sitting in everyone's heart, gives one greater and greater attachment for that demigod, so that one may be elevated to the demigod's abode. Yanti Deva Vratat Devan. By worshipping demigods, one can elevate himself to the abodes of the demigods. Similarly, by worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one can be elevated to the spiritual kingdom. This is stated in different places in Vedic literature. Here, Lord Shiva is praised by Sati, partially due to her personal respect for Lord Shiva, since he is her husband, and partially due to his exalted position, which even Lord Brahma. The position of Lord Shiva is accepted by Lord Brahma, so Daksha, Sati's father, should also recognize him. That was the point of Sati's statement. She did not actually come to her father's house to participate in the function, although before coming she pleaded with her husband that she wanted to see her sisters and her mother. That was a plea only. For actually, at heart, she maintained the idea that she would convince her father Daksha that it was useless to continue being envious of Lord Shiva. That was her main purpose. When she was unable to convince her father, she gave up the body he had given her, as will be seen in the following verses.
Yes, so we'll conclude here and continue tomorrow. Granthra Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Prabhuji. Hare
Prabhupada.
Krishna.
Thank you, all.
Prabhupada.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Prabhupada.
Prabhuji.
Thank
Hare
you, Prabhuji.
Krishna.
Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhupada.
Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Prabhuji.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you, everyone. Hare Krishna.